Okay, good morning, everybody. Got a lot to catch everybody up on. Thank you, Hardly Bop, for the tier 1, and Andrew for 50 months. Thank you. So I called it. I called this that there was going to be some freaking shenanigans, and everyone's like, "Oh, now Spike, you're crazy." But so it was one was supposed to come out last week, and then they're like, "No, actually, it's coming out next Tuesday, tomorrow." But then, people in the weekend tournaments, if you think top 4 to challenge or did well enough at the super qualifier, they gave you a full set of one. They just gave you a full set. And I found this out I've been doing a lot of personal stuff over the weekend, and I found this out late last night, just seeing a Doomwake tweet, and thankfully, I was able to, thanks to Kerbros and Doomwake, scramble together a playset of Hellraisers for today. So that's the good. The good news is we got the cards. I did call it. I do want to say I called that there would be some shenanigans today. This is the only new card that I have for today, but it is also the one I'm by far the most excited for, and I have a few different shells ready to go for today, and I have a few different ones I'm still working on. So let's take a look at all three. So the first one is kind of, I think, maybe the safest of the deck lists that I put together. So this is kind of a take on creativity, although we're playing Transmogrify in this list over creativity because it works well with Hellraiser's ETB effect, where creativity doesn't, since you have to cast it on X equals 0. But it's kind of like a bit more focused on the reanimation game plan, and it gets to do that because you have two top end cards so you have extra cards that you can discard for value. So when you just have the 4 Archons, you're just looting them away. It's hard to be super in on the Persist plan in these creativity variants. And usually you can't do this. Usually you can't do this where you have 8 big things to discard to reanimate. But Hellraiser allows you to build the deck this way because it's just a castable spell. It's just like a solid castable spell. It does come at some pretty, high deck building requirements. It does require you to be filling the graveyard pretty quickly with, Shadow Prophecy, Fable, Reunion, Thrilling Discovery. So we're going to see exactly how the deck building, this is something I fully expect to happen over the course of a few days. I'll start to understand a bit better exactly what Hellraiser's deck building requirements are, but I usually like to start really hardcore like this, for Shadow Prophecy. I'm playing Thrilling Discovery. I'm really trying to make sure we get the cards in the yard for the Hellraiser. So this is draft 1. Ultimately, not too crazy, but kind of a creativity take mostly. Let's just jump into it. It's always important to note that on these early first days, we're just trying to get a taste for the card. It is very hard to have a perfect list hammered out for new cards, and that is especially true of Capricious Hellraiser, a card that is very, very, very interesting to deck build with, but has a lot of very interesting potential shells. So I've been wanting to cast this card for a long time. I'm really glad we get to do this today. Haven't tried a blue-red shell. I've started to build a few blue-red shells for Hellraiser. I get a little stuck because, for the most part, I'm not sure. Not being able to... It's hard to play counter spells with Hellraiser. That's one thing I've really, had a hard time with, where Hellraiser doesn't cast counter spells, and then Hellraiser also is a red card, and, and counter spells are typically blue in Modern. We'll look at the one-lander. Back-to-back one-landers. Okay, let's go 5. Okay, we'll keep this one. I like that I have the Shadow Prophecy to catch back up a bit. I put back a Reunion and the other Prophecy. I know I missed some subscriptions to get to the deck text. Haunter with 30 months. Cool Kid with the 19. Bone Shooter with the 34. Chicken Waffles with the 3. Screaming Squash with the 9 months. Thank you. Alright, and MTG name with the 8. Hardly Bop with the tier 1. I'm glad everybody is as excited for today as I am. Well, that was a very well-timed top-decked Lightning Bolt. We're going to go ahead and get our other Triome and just have a Delirium online. Have I tried anything offline? No. So, I found, I had a different deck prepped for today, thinking that we weren't going to be able to play with 1 cards yet. And, I just found out from a Doomwake tweet that... Nope, you can. These cards are legal. These cards are legal, and I stayed up late and got up early last night, making sure that I had like at least 3 things ready to go for today, and it's going to be a very very busy time the next few days. But I was trying to be prepped by tomorrow. Okay, definitely gonna take the Persist. We'll take Sacred Foundry too, which could also get us a Dwarven Mine. Nice to be able to mill over the Archon there. Breaking, entering, confuse. You can Hellraiser into breaking, into infuse, chain them, similar to Transmogrify. Yeah. Breaking, entering. I really like that that tech, Doom. I know that you were excited for it in Pioneer. I think it could be an interesting option in Modern, where it's like, I don't know, it's kind of awkward to have to play like a dead card like breaking, entering in Modern, compared to like, these shelves typically don't like to play cards like that. But I think I'll just cast the Reunion here. I don't think I'm playing my land first because I want to discard the Tarn anyways. But I'm still trying to evaluate if that's something you want to. Okay, awesome. So we can actually cast our Hellraiser next turn. And I think this turn actually is going to do a really good job exemplifying what I'm interested in about Hellraiser. Is that like it could potentially just let us double spell next turn. If we draw a land, we can go Persist plus Hellraiser, or otherwise we can go Binding plus. We have a few options. Javins, 12 months, thank you. But yeah, you might be able to do it. Hellraiser plus Beckon Call. Well, what's nice about breaking and entering is like the front half mills you, so you can play Hellraiser on turn 3. We'll see. For the most part, I'm like not interested in like comboing with the ETB effect, if that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have 9 cards in the yard. I don't need to sack the Reunion here. We do have a lot of bricks in the yard too. I think what I should do here is I should cast Persist before I cast Hellraiser. This means that if this gets countered, there's a Persist in the yard that I could potentially. Okay. Guess I don't have to binding this. So I'm not casting the Hellraiser into the dress down. Maybe I shouldn't have cast the binding. I could have just like let this all go. Yeah, maybe playing a little bit fast. Yeah, I should have probably just let it go and then like save this for next turn. Main deck dress down really threw me off. Deck for Gomer. Big bird deck. Okay, Yorion is banned. What are your thoughts? Oh, this is Pioneer. Okay. Well, Monday morning, Yorion deck tech. Definitely always my favorite place to be. Yeah, this was a pretty big punch with the binding, honestly. But let me cast my Hellraiser. And hopefully not get it countered. But honestly, like, we do have a lot of bricks, so hopefully we can get a little bit lucky with our spin here. Okay, we got the trigger. Fortunately, we just find a lightning bolt. Could have bolted this, then hasted, but I think it's probably just a bit better to not. These random odds aren't great. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, you're just kind of mostly happy with this as a value play with some like bigger potential is the way I think about it, where it doesn't have to persist your Archon for this to be like, this is a 3-mana 4/4 dragon that I got to cast a lightning bolt with. That's like a very good rate, and it lets you have, I think you get. It also lets you, in theory, be a bit better in the persist plan. Of course, you're not like stabilizing as hard. I don't know. To some extent, I don't know why. Why you'd think I'd be great at a Pioneer Yorion toolbox creature deck tech when I just haven't been playing the format in a long time. Let me see. Murktide is also like your worst matchup as a as a creativity deck usually. Usually creativity can't play Hearse also, but because we're on Transmogrify, we do get access to it. So we're gonna bring in the Hearses, and I think we're cutting 2 Discoveries and a Reunion. Yeah, I've been trying to find a way to Ephemerate Hellraiser. We'll try this. This card has a lot of different places, but honestly, like this is like what I keep hearing about Hellraiser over and over and over again. Is that like your chances to like you know, combo off with it are just not very low. But that's just not how this deck is built. This is like mostly like a, you know, I'm thinking of it as like a mid-range, you know, slow removal heavy deck with a kind of like reanimation plan that Hellraiser complements more than I'm thinking of it as me trying to just go crazy with Hellraiser's ETB. But because it's random, you can't like you think of it as like trying to abuse the ETB effect. I don't know. I mean, this list looks very stock. It looks very stock. I typically don't like playing 2 7-drops in this shell. I think that for the most part, you want to play just one of the 7s. I don't know if like Pioneer really is a format that you can afford to have both Atraxa and Agent of Treachery. I know it's still the 80-card deck, but I tend to think that that's a little bit win more, especially when your curve is so high. I guess I'll go ahead and fetch my other Triome here, so they can't exile it. Yeah, I don't know if Titan of Agency is better than Agent, but it's just tough. Like I feel so bad getting like these Pioneer deck techs, but like especially like Toolbox Pioneer deck techs, it's just so hard for me to offer meaningful and helpful feedback. You know what I mean? Like this is just not my forte at the moment. Might be able to Hellraiser through the hearse. Maybe not next turn. We get to put 4 cards in the yard end of turn if Shadow Prophecy resolves. That Hellraiser could be good in Pioneer Greasefang. I think it would be very difficult to support the mana for it. I could be wrong. Aren't the 7 to be searched by Leyline Stacking? Yeah, my point is you don't need 2 7s. You know what I mean? That's the main point. Other than that, like I'm just like looking at this list, trying to have like some thoughts on it, but everything seems fine. You know what I mean? Like I would probably cut one of the 7s for the 4th Trial of Ambition, and I have like no other meaningful feedback to give, unfortunately. My own hearse, huh? I was really hoping to find a 1-mana removal spell. Kind of stinks to not, you know, we have 8, kind of hard to brick that, you know, that much, unfortunately. But we can potentially keep chilling here. Oh, I have the access to Dwarven Mine now to block the Ragavan too. What about a Pioneer no toolbox list? Tinko in 6 months? Maybe I should have just disabled deck techs. Because I also, like, to some extent, want to be getting into the gameplay today. We'll see. Yeah, the red arrow does mean we're down a game. Okay, I can take a look. I might, because this is channel points, I may refund it. This is Pioneer Cat Hammer. Okay, just don't go in on the cat synergies with Kimba is like really my main advice. This is like definitely gonna be the worst hammer list. You don't need to have cat synergies when it comes to Kimba. Kimba by itself does the hammer thing. But we can get a mod to maybe refund that deck tech, because I don't really want to build Pioneer Hammer on stream right now, because that's what it would require me to do here. They exiled Unholy Heat. Okay, I guess that's fine. Good news. Well, just can't find like Leyline Binding too much off the Shadow Prophecy in general. Might be good for me to just cast Hellraiser here. Just get a 3-mana 4/4 flyer into play because of the hearse. I think instead I'll cast Fable of the Mirror Breaker, and then I can play my own hearse out too. I've submitted that a couple times before. It's been playing Dragon Lords, but only some work well. I think with the new cards, Agent is game ending and Tarka is game ending with card advantage. Yeah, I mean exactly. Like they're both game ending, which is why I think you shouldn't play 2. My set on Lightning Bolt as interaction, did it win over other removal spells? I don't know. It's also maybe a little early in the day for the 1-mana removal spell suite, but every single land in my deck taps for red, And Lightning Bolt is also going to be a bit more of a, we'll always have a target when you Hellraiser into it. Also, is are the reasons I chose to play it. Okay, 6/6 Murktide. Could maybe go for a Transmogrify here. Leyline Binding is nice. Let's go ahead. I guess I'm going to discard, I think, one of the 2 Hellraisers in the face of the hearse. Or maybe I could discard Persist Hellraiser. Seems pretty reasonable. Then I'm going to cast a Leyline Binding. Get that countered. And they only have 1 card in their hand. If they have another piece of interaction as the last card, it is, like, somewhat likely, but, good beats if so. Good beats indeed. Alright. Down a game. Down a match. Alright, we can keep this. Yeah, Elsh Norn is definitely... Yeah, also, like, a big part of today, like, the main thing I want to get done today is, like, really evaluate how hard Hellraiser's deck building restriction is. Like, really try to understand exactly how many enablers and payoffs you have to play for the card. Because that's like, this is one of the tougher things to figure out. Well, nice to have basic mountain, double bolt against burn. A little less nice to be on the draw. It's okay, though. We'll Leyline Binding on top. Is there a good way to build the list to be able to exile some of but not all of your grades with Hellraiser on the stack? I think that's unlikely to be something you'll be able to do with like a good degree of consistency. I do think that it's likely that you can have that element in your strategy, but the reality is like Hellraiser has a ton of deck building potential. It can really go in one of the widest array of strategies I've ever seen, and it's just gonna take some time. Okay, so I don't want to cast the Shadow Prophecy against Burn if I can help it, so I'm just going to discard that to Reunion here. We can play a tapped Sacred Foundry. Have I looked in the standard mode? So what's my top 3 decks choice? No and no. Top 3. I'll discard a Binding here. So I don't know when one is gonna be available exactly. Like, it was supposed to be tomorrow. It's not tomorrow now. Apparently it's today. And I don't know if tomorrow if limited queues go online. I don't know if tomorrow is just treasure chests. I just don't know. But what I did do is call that there would be some shenanigans like this. Well, too bad I don't have the Reunion in hand anymore to discard the Archon. We have several outs to discard this, though, and hopefully we can get it into play in time. Alright, I guess we have to go down to 4 here. Not a big fan of having to do this, but I do think that we have to. Take 2 Hellraisers, or do I take... I think I take Hellraiser Dwarven Mine, so that I can block a 1-mana haste creature here. Yeah, we are going to try Tyvar. We're definitely going to try Tyvar. I guess I'll sack a Bitter Reunion end of turn also if... Well, double Goblin Guide. How do they have 2 Goblin Guides in their hand? I don't know. But we'll see if they have a burn spell. Okay, thankfully, Murktide into Burn is like Nightmare Creativity Gauntlet, but I do have 3 Blossoming Columns for today at least. Not going to bring in Temporary Lockdown. I think it's a little too slow. We have access to cheap removal anyways. Thrilling Discovery gives you a little bit of extra life gain. I guess I'm just going to go down 3 Shadow Prophecies, although maybe I need to bring in some amount of Wear Tear for Resting Peace, and these also kill Eidolon. Could trim a Hellraiser in this matchup, but I think for playtesting purposes we won't. Tyvar with Priest of Fell Rights. I think that there's something there. We will work on it for sure. There's a lot to do. Second land, draw a card. Yeah, yeah. And then they went Swift Spear, land, Burnt Searing Blaze. It's just weird from that too. They're probably bringing Sanctifier. I think we have Leyline Binding as answers to that. So I don't think that we need the Temporal Lockdown, but we could. Blondie 20 months. What's nice is also like Transmogrify gets around these exile-based effects. I think I'm really locked in on wanting to get my Mardi Triumph here, so I'm just going to go ahead and fetch now. It's really bad if the Mardi Triumph gets revealed to the Goblin Guide. We flip a Bitter Reunion, which I think I'll just go ahead and cast, discarding Persist. I think with the Transmogrify in my hand and Persist also being kind of weak to Graveyard Heat, this is fine. I'm also like using my discard outlet now. Okay, there's a Binding. Blondie 20 months, fun through the 13. Thank you. I didn't have Domain to use Leyline Binding last turn. Okay, I have a Hellraiser on top. Hopefully we get to Blossoming Calm with Burn Spell. Not so lucky. It's okay. The access to Blossoming Calms will be helpful. I do want to maximize my chance for drawing a land, so I'm not going to fetch right now. Top card is Fable of the Mirror Breaker, though. Fable would be a pretty good draw. I think I'm instead just going to go ahead and binding this Goblin Guide. Blue 6 we can't play Capricious Hellraiser. Transmogrify is so much worse. Feels like the card just spoon feeds mana advantage to the opponent. Yeah, I think that is an apt analysis. Brutal. Okay, let's draw a land. Fetch land. Okay, not a fetch land, but that is fine. Let's go ahead and play this now so that we can not get got by Boros Charm. With double Blossoming Calm in the hand, it's hard to be feeling too bad here. But again, this is also like sorry, Hellraiser is going to take a long time to figure out. I think that Hellraiser is a card that has so many possibilities and has so many different applications and different ways you can play with the card that for the most part I'm just trying to learn today, and not have too many hard opinions. Okay, at 7 we should be able to slam this. Okay, the second Blossoming Calm should be good against that Rift Bolt, of course. Let's discard Archon Binding. Could Transmogrify post-combat. I think instead I'll just Reunion, discard Bolt, hold up Blossoming Calm, set up the Hellraiser next turn, or Transmogrify next turn. I'm gonna find another land, actually. Why would they do this? I think I still Blossoming Calm. Like, I stopped the 1 damage, which doesn't put me to a multiple of 3, and then I still get to stop the Rift Bolt targeting me. It'll target the Goblin, though. Yeah, I died a double Bolt in hand if I don't do it now. Just kind of weird. Flip this. Don't really want between. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and cast the Hellraiser here. Hitting Persist or Blossoming Calm will both be good. Hitting, Binding is bad, but we've got the upside here, and I don't really want to shock the Sacred Foundry. We also have time. Okay, cool. Dragon and Ironcrag Feetless be funny. I mean. Bad, I guess. If by funny you mean bad. Yeah, they're dead. Haste and copy? Yeah. No one has ever missed a Bitter Reunion line in the history of Magic. Everybody's just always So thirsty to sacrifice Bitter Reunion at like the first possible moment. Alright, let's run it back. Let's mulligan this. Keep this one, I think. So I'm putting back the binding. No turn one creature is kind of nice. Let me see what we draw. Yeah, I'm just gonna play the Dwarven Mine tapped. Like if they have Eidolon, like they're not dealing me any damage with it, so I want to be able to cast the Bitter Reunion next turn if possible. And, you know, if they don't have Eidolon. And so like this is worse if I draw like, you know, untap land, but not even much worse. Down to 15. Nice to have a relatively painless draw. Nice to not get hit by a turn one creature. Nice to have insulation for another creature of theirs. You have a card that says gain life in our hand. The fact that Hellraiser doesn't guarantee excellent customer souls throwing me off. It seems to be throwing like every single player off, but it's like with 3 cards, you're really, really unlikely to completely brick. You will brick some amount of the time, but just like Bloodbraid Elf bricks some amount of time, no matter what you play it with. Or almost no matter what you play it with. But Hellraiser is, gives you selection sometimes too amongst those cards, and and then like even when it does brick, still no lands. Even when it does brick though, it's it's a 3-mana 4/4 flyer. Man, no lands suck so much here. Okay, Sanctifier is really bad as well. Okay, that's a very good draw. I think we're supposed to Fable here. Crispy, 12 months, thank you. Do I consider trying this deck in Pioneer similar to Hulk deck? I have given like almost zero thought to Pioneer. In regards to the new set, I've like looked at Hammer Time a little bit, but Hammer Time is also going to be a deck that's like, really hammered out in Pioneer. I think just been more focused on Modern. I also like scrambling a bit because I spent a lot of time like Saturday trying to make sure we had an interesting stream for today because I thought we were not going to have any of the new cards, but that was not the case. So why don't we maybe just go second Fable plus Blossoming Calm? How many Hellraisers do I have? I have 3 Hellraiser lists like ready for today, and I have a few more in drafts with like other ideas too. It's a card that just has a ton of potential, and it's just gonna really take some time to work on, which is good stream content at least. How are we playing with the new cards? Apparently, in the challenges over the weekend, if you did well enough, you got a full set. And Doomwake and some other players were, buying them up. But I called it. I called that there was going to be some weirdness with the set release. It's just been, like, pretty consistently weird lately. Any Raw Priest Brews going? Yeah, I haven't, like, hammered out the list, but we will definitely be playing with Raw Priest. It's going to be a very busy week this week, so expect little Dark Souls, but some Dark Souls also. Callous expensive? Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad that there's still, interest, of course. I've been, having a lot of fun with the Souls, of course. Alright, let's discard 1. I mean, Discovery does say gain life on it, but I think we're just gonna exile it. Do I just play a 3rd Fable here? Could also go sack, Bitter Reunion, Haste, attack for 3. Yeah, I don't actually hate just playing the Fable. Is this early access? No, there's no such thing as early access on Magic Online because Wizards like does not care about supporting Magic Online streamers at all. This is just scraped together from the community. Thank you, Marv. Wow, no spells cast. I guess we can't transmogrify the Sanctifier actually. As long as we touch Prime, thank you. Isn't ripping Transmogrify for worst case Hellraiser to recur Blossoming Calm pretty good? I mean, my opponent has 2 mana up to like kill a creature that I Transmogrify is why I'm just casting into the Fable instead. And I think like the fact that my opponent couldn't cast anything there makes me feel pretty good about my line. Like here, I might even like my opponent didn't do anything last turn. I'm at 12 life. It's almost impossible for them to have 4 burn spells. Like I can just go haste my reflection and then make like 1,000,000 copies to kill them here. And that's the big downside to playing. Like Transmogrify is a lot worse than creativity. So like I don't know that this is going to be the best shell or the best draft, but it is a first draft, and I think like taking these kind of bolder card choices is something I tend to like to do in, you know, the first few days before set release. Okay, Boros Charm into 2 3-mana burn spells does get me though. So maybe this was wrong. Okay, that doesn't do anything. Yeah, creativity doesn't work with Hellraiser, which is why we're trying this version, right? I'm interested in playing Skrelv in the Boros Helia deck. Might be good to have a 5th Giver effect. I'm not that interested, to be honest. Like, even if you do play it, it's like one of the worst cards in your deck, the worst card in your deck, maybe. I'm interested in like the White Phyrexian Obliterator a little bit, and that's close. Gangs, 4 months, thank you. We're on to draw. I think the problem is we have like so many tap lands we can draw into via Dwarven Mine and the extra Triumph because we try to Triumph on turn 1. So I'm probably gonna send this to 6. You know, creativity into like multiple Hellraisers too is also like kind of cool and powerful. So, we could try that version too. I just wanted to start with like kind of like the more out there deck choice. That's typically how I like to do deck building. Could Chalice on 1 be a plan instead of Bolts? I think that is a good suggestion. Chalice of the Void over Bolts. I think that it's maybe not very good with Hellraiser exactly, but if Hellraiser is a reason to play Transmogrify, and if Hellraiser is a reason to play Transmogrify, and then that lets you play artifacts, I could definitely see that being worthwhile. I think I want to get the Ketria Triome. What? They're gonna upkeep Ice Me? Sure. Okay. Do you think new Tyvar will be playable to push Devoted Druid? Yeah, of course. I don't know, like to some extent I think it's funny to be asked like over and over and again about like Tyvar and Devoted Druid and Venerated Rot Priest as like, do you think that this is gonna be something like yeah, like these are like the 2 like strategies that I think are like some of like the most surface level and like going to be the most iterated upon by everybody. And I'll do some work on them. I did an article with Tyvar, Devoted Druid, Devoted Druid Elves. We will definitely be playing it. We'll be playing it this week as soon as we can get our hands on Tyvar. But we will try it. We'll try it for sure. Yeah, I did a longer video on the set as a whole too, if you want to check that out on YouTube. Just first impressions, of course. Nahiri and Hammer? No, I don't think Nahiri's gonna be good in Hammer. I think you need more like ETBs and be a bit of a bigger deck. Naval, 4 months, thank you. Will it be good? Yeah, I guess that's maybe what people are really asking, but you know, the reality is that it is just too early to tell, you know. Just too early to tell. Alright, well, you know, the longer you wait on Fable, the worse it is. We can go Fable, hold up Binding here. I don't know what my opponent's doing exactly. They're not Rhinos. They might just be Blue Moon, but the mountain is really throwing me off. It's a really nice mountain, though. Naval Pain, good username. Thank you for the 4 months. Ironclad Breach being top 4 of Indy. Yeah, I saw Zach's list. I like that list a lot. I really meant to play more of it on stream. I was getting kind of bored of the Breach list, but we were like 8-2 when we played it. I think it's like just like straight blue-red fair Breach with Iconoclast is the way to go. Obviously with like lots of flex spots, just like every blue-red list ever. Okay, they're just creativity. The double Steaments was also throwing me off too. Yeah, the white-red Stoneblade deck is exactly where I think Nahiri fits well into. Burst Lightning, baby. Jeez. Okay, they're Teamer. Okay, kind of think they've set up for a Spell Pierce here. Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. I'm discarding an Archon here so I can potentially top deck Persist. Have some extra looks, of course, with the Fable as well. You also discard Archon, Bitter Reunion. Okay, so now we'll just go cast Hellraiser and then we can Binding this if we break. We can also just hit Binding here. Alright, nice. 3 mana, 4/4 flyer, cast Leyline Binding. I've seen a lot of people. There was a YouTube comment I read last night on my one video. There is no chance that Capricious Hellraiser sees any play in Modern. I'm like, can I just cast the card? Because it's doing a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot going on here. You know what I mean? Like this kind of stuff will happen really often when you cast this card. I feel like we should cast it a couple times. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we maybe should just like cast it. Alright, so they're going to second main phase here. You can also like here what I think I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna go cast Bitter Reunion and then haste my Fable and then copy my Hellraiser. Although now, instead, I'm just gonna... Well, you know what? I don't think I actually want to persist the Archon and open myself up to a Spell Pierce. Okay, Pulse there, it's fine. Yeah, let's still just not open ourselves up to Spell Pierce here. I think we can just afford to wait. Oh, although if they're gonna ice, then we can persist. Yeah, so I think the only cards available were through challenge winners getting full sets, and then I'm borrowing the cards from Doomwake and Card Bros today. These are the only ones I have. Is it broke as I thought? I mean, this is my third match. Like again, like I know I hyped it up a lot in my YouTube video. I still am really hyped about it, but like it's also like really easy to like, you know, listen to me hype it up in the YouTube video and forget like the entire video, or like I always make a point like these are just first impressions. And I can't tell you how good a card is 3 matches into playing it. I can't tell. For Hellraiser, it'll take probably like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to even really get a good idea for it. It's a card that like I don't know exactly what the deck building restrictions are yet, and I need to really flex with them and try different enablers. Today I'm going really hard on the enablers. It's possible that you don't need to play as many as I'm playing in my lists, and this is going to be a card that needs a ton of playtesting. But we did just spend 3 mana and we got a 4/4 flyer plus Leyline Binding, and that's pretty sick, you know. And we had one turn where we Hellraisered for just a bolt and we lost that game. There's just, you know, there's going to be a degree of variance here. But yeah, potential is probably the best way to phrase it. So let's bring in the Necromentias, and then I think I'm going to cut my bolts. Like 2 hearse. Discovery. Zack attack for once, thank you. Well, you can't cast creatures with Hellraiser, but I don't think I had Persist in the yard either. But I also had like Shadow Prophecy, which would have been really nice. Reunion would have been a nice hit too. Use that for the 4 months. Hi Canister, how you doing? You're using for thrilling over Cathartic. Thrilling is way better against counter magic, where if they counter it, you don't have to discard 2 cards. And it gains 2 life also. I don't know that I would consider keeping this in like almost any other matchup, but I'm gonna mulligan, even in like the Creativity Mirror. I was against Murktide round 1, which, you know, typically bad matchup for this archetype. Is Moto gonna be down tomorrow? I don't know. Like, you know, I've been saying this like the entire time, and say it's really not that big a deal, but I think the communication during these set releases from Daybreak Games hasn't been great, and I think that there's been a lot of consistent like random stuff that happens, like random downtime days, random challenge winners getting these sets, and like it's just available a day earlier than we thought. It's just like there's just like a lot of randomness, and I don't know. Like I don't know that I don't think that there's an announced downtime for this next week, but I also think like we could just have downtime for 2 days in a row too. Anything could happen. It's awesome. Do make 3 subs. That's for a deck tech. I guess take a look. Well, you could have got one for free for the Hellraisers, huh? Moto will not go down. Yeah, we'll see. I'm just kind of ready for everything, I guess. Boros Blade. I posted like a first draft I had on Channel Fireball. You know, when I'm like playing with new cards, I usually like to just like jam like as many of the new ones as I possibly can. So there's a good chance I even like my first draft, I'll just play 4 Sword, a Forge and Frontier, no Sword of Fire Ice, just to get a feel for it. I will say that I do not like. I'm gonna jam the Necromentia here. I don't like Shadow Spear in the Bant Stoneblade, in the Boros Stoneblade deck. You can maybe sideboard it, but I'm not. I prefer Batterskull to it, typically. But for the most part, like, I think I was playing like 1 less Season Pyromancer, 1 more Nihiri, or like, well, I can't remember if I was playing 4 Nihiri or 3 in the draft. But, you know, the main deck's pretty similar. I think I like Batterskull more than Shadow Spear. I don't love Batterskull, but I think it is still worth playing. Alright, let's just jam a Fable of the Mirror Breaker here. Oops, all spell pierces. We at least get to not get our Transmogrify spell pierced. Probably have to jam our Transmogrify next turn though. Yeah, not too many comments on the sideboard. I typically like Silence a little bit more than Drandith Magistrate because you can like board them in against like Tron and Titan too, but they're not like amazing there, I suppose. You might, you know, I think this is a good first draft is really the main thing I have to say. Beyond, like, I just want to play more Nihiris and, like, more swords to get a feel for them, but I can't comment on, like, exactly how that'll be, of course, because I haven't played with them yet, right? Okay, so let's... I can't bid a reunion... Yeah, no, I'm still several cards away, actually. We'll see if they have another interactive spell here. We'll see if they do. We'll see how bad the Ren and 6 ultimate is into the face of our unlicensed her. So it might not be too bad, especially with no Ren and 6 still in play. Third sword over Shadow, or 3 Forge, 1 Fire Eyes. I typically like to play 3 swords, so Like I know the Batterskull Skull is like kind of mid, but it is a card that I tutor a decent amount of the time, and it's a card that has like important applications. I think in the Murktide matchup against decks like Dredge, decks against Burn, which is against Prowess, which are like all like relatively popular at the moment. And then you can slide them out like a decent amount, slide it out a decent amount of the time, but it's not a card that I just would recommend cutting altogether. But you know, it's also not really a card that I'm gonna, you know, I'm not gonna die on the hill either necessarily. Okay, so we can go Dwarven Mine. So if you heard Lucy bark. Sack Reunion to get the 9th card in the yard, and we can cast a Hellraiser here. So you got more counter magic. Yeah, I heard the little. Burp.
As I was walking up.
Oh no, we don't have 2 cards in our hands. We get to gain 2 life. Okay, that's a brick. Thank you, sweetheart. You could have hasted the Hellraiser. I needed the thing in the graveyard so I could cast it. No, right? What do you think you could cut in your most recent Anviltron deck to make it more budget? Probably the like expensive cards. I don't know. I don't know. You know, block opponent? Well, no, I have to attack. Yeah, it's already like relative to modern decks, like not super expensive, right? Yeah, like yeah, honestly, like Anviltron is already like it's what, like $300 or $400. It's I don't. I even thought Karns were kind of on the decline in price. Yeah, but I don't even know like what like the most expensive card is Karn the Great Creator, right? Okay, go to game 3. Spreads the 5-pack, thank you. Caverns? I'm not even playing Caverns in the most recent version. It's just Tron lands. Tron lands and Besages and Forests. Like, Besage is expensive. You can play Forest, I guess. Grinding Station's expensive. That card's irreplaceable. The Clam Twitch Run thing, thank you. Yeah, I love the Anviltron deck. Really, really proud of that one. I donate my deck tech to any non-blue-white control player. We'll see. Usually, like, donating deck techs to random chatter in theory sounds good. In practice, like, oftentimes goes unclaimed. Or get the messiest deck techs. But thank you for your 5-pack. We'll see if someone claims it. Keep this. I don't even know discard outlet, we just put back the Persist there. Am I surprised people love Anviltron so much? Maybe a little. I think for the most part, I have learned over time that I'm like a pretty bad judge of like what decks chatters will like. But like for the most part, I think chatters like new and interesting decks, and it's hard to argue that Anviltron isn't that. Played 2 spells guide on the board over coding and torpor. Dude, cutting coding. I'm not saying that it's like actually awful, but it does feel really weird. I agree that like coding is like you almost never get it. You almost never get it. But it's like cutting coding from the Karn board. Might be correct. I don't know. I like the gusto. I like the gumption. You know, you got guts, kid. How's Hellraiser lived with my expectations yet? Well, we're like 3 matches in. It's been good. You know, we've cast Lightning Bolt, Persist, Leyline Binding. It's been 3 mana every time. We also could have cast a Thrilling Discovery. We had only 1 card in hand, not 2, so we couldn't cast that one. But I've liked it. Yeah. A bit early to say. I want to discard 2 cards really badly for the Hellraiser. Discarding Binding feels weird. I guess I should maybe discard Transmogrify Binding and like try to cast this Necromentia. I was really hoping to find 3rd land though, which I didn't find. But also my Fable resolved last turn. So maybe my Necromentia will resolve this turn. It was muted 12 months, Archbound to 21, thank you. Golos Tron. Okay, I actually started to work on this yesterday. Spell Skies were amazing in the Force of Vigor matchups. Really? I kind of feel like Spell Skies are terrible in the Force of Vigor matchups, right? Because, like, they just get Spell Skied and something else. Unless I'm misunderstanding how that works. Yeah, so I started to work on this yesterday. I would, like, never main deck Emrakul. I wouldn't main deck it in this metagame. You can sideboard it. But yeah, this is pretty close to what I had. I wasn't sure if I wanted to play Oblivion Stone or not. I also don't know if I like the Ugins a lot either. Okay, flip. Yeah, I don't know if I love Ugin. So maybe you just want to like cut the Ugins and play like 4 Worm Coil, 3 Ulamog. I think I was playing 3 Ulamog in my list. I think Ulamog's like one of your better threats. Yeah, but for those of you who have missed it, I kind of have a working theory that like Karn Liberated like sucks. And the deck and Tron would be better off if you didn't play it. And so I think that Spellskite again is like a card you could consider. And we've done a really bad job of drawing lands. I'm not like convinced Spellskite is great in the main, but I think like it's been a card I've been liking a lot. I think it helps your Beseiju problem a lot, helps your Ragavan problem a lot. Yeah, I think a good draft. I think I was also maybe playing some number of Ballista in the main. I can't remember. Yeah, Leveler is so good though. I love this working theory, the Karn the Great Creator theory. What is Capricious Hellraiser used for in this build of creativity? So, like, what's nice about Hellraiser, beyond just, like, us trying out the new card, the idea kind of here is that Hellraiser is kind of like... It's kind of like... They target the treasure. Okay, just trying to play around removal. In this list, Hellraiser is both, like... It lets you be way more on the Persist plan, because it gives you 8 good cards to Persist. Which usually it's really hard to like be in on 8 good Persist card targets plus things to discard, since you just have way too many clunky draws. But in this list, Hellraiser is just like pretty consistently castable for 3 mana. And since it's castable for 3 mana, you're not gonna deal with these issues of having like all of these like 6, 7, 8 mana spells stuck in your hand, and like obviously like it's not as powerful to persist as Archon, but it's really good to persist back I think in the early game, and that's kind of like a very very surface level evaluation of it, but on kind of like a more general level, I think like this is an interesting shell for Hellraiser when playing it today, and like Hellraiser is like a pretty good value card. It's just like 3 mana, cast a powerful non-creature spell in this list. Like this list non-creature spells are like higher mana curve, where you have Bitter Reunion and Fable and Shadow Prophecy and Leyline Binding and Transmogrify, and like all of these are gonna be really good to cast with Hellraiser. It's just gonna bury your opponent to some extent. Alright, so... I imagine my opponent has Fire Ice. Could Hellraiser be used in Is It Grixis Rakdos mid-rangey, specifically other Persist show? Yeah, so that's on my list, like Grixis Control or Grixis, you know, mid-rangey. It's on my list. I guess I should play around Spell Pierce, although I should have played the Sacred Foundry and tapped instead. I really would like to try to find it in Rakdos. You know, if you like use an Undying effect on Hellraiser, then it does come back, which is kind of interesting. Rakdos is like not amazing at filling up its graveyard, but you know, blue or like this will compete with Murktide and you know not be great with counter spells, and you know it has some issues. Yeah, but you know, I also think like Fable, Hellraiser play really, really well together just in general, where Fable helps fill up the graveyard for Hellraiser, and then Fable also copies Hellraiser in the late game. I think that these two cards are going to kind of be in a lot of the shells together. And so I think you could also potentially do mono red with like Channeler, Bauble, Hellraiser. It'd be like a mostly non-creature mono red shell. I've also been like kind of looking at like a green splash for like Commune with the Gods, and it just depends like how hard is Hellraiser to enable. And so far, like in my 3 matches, like it really hasn't felt that hard to turn on. But also, like, what's nice about this deck, at least, is, like, if you draw it early, you discard it, or you, like, Transmogrify into it early, and you can just get the trigger, and then in, like, the mid to late game, it's on. So that could be, like, not the case for other shells. Gleeful Demolition Side Main. I like how it works with Synthesizer and Epicure. You could play it. I think that you might need a few more enablers than the deck it currently has, which is kind of the problem. But you could try it. Yeah, we've resolved Transmogrify. Yeah, the modal spells just stay in their modal thing in the graveyard till end of time now. Do you think this list is better than the 5-color one? It would be incredibly unreasonable for me to declare that this deck is better than any other deck 3 matches into it with a card I still am evaluating. It is just way too early to tell. We're 2-1. We're having a good time. It's pretty sick if we draw a land up against Gigantha. I'm gonna try it. This is maybe like a little too much of a YOLO, but this hand is really, really good if we draw a land. Could Cathartic Reunion be better than Discovery for Hellraiser? Well, the big issue is that like this, like if it gets spell pierced, you don't lose on the spot. You know what I mean? I guess even if we miss our land drop, we can go to discard. Is there any particular boogeyman in Modern? Seems Hammer's still hot. I mean, Hammer's hot but beatable. I mean, it's kind of the same monsters, but they just kind of fade in and out of popularity, and they're all pretty beatable if you want to beat them. Intrigued by the idea of Hellraiser that's mono red except blue splash for duration. Well, I mean, if you splash blue for duration, you know, probably want to play some counter spells on the board. But yeah, I don't know. That's what's nice about this card, and why like I'm so excited for it too. Is like there are so many possibilities of decks that this can go in. There is a ton of potential, and we'll see how it lives up to the potential, of course. I'm gonna bolt this now before they can trap blast. Why aren't the new cards legal in Pioneer? The handling of set releases from Daybreak Games has been kind of random. There's been like not a lot of like communication, I think, and to like what's going to happen, and and I think there will probably be some more randomness this week. Like the fact that we're playing with Hellraiser today, like, you know, was not part of the plan, and it's just all kind of random. Okay, well, we can at least discard this and try to persist it next turn. Oh, they're playing Lava Dart, wow. Yeah, what could we have done to prevent this this stumble here, I wonder? Probably nothing. A mono red deck that plays like Cheerios. Well, I don't know what you mean exactly by plays like Cheerios, because nothing plays like Cheerios. But this is another draft we're gonna play today. Probably play this one next. But Hollow One Shell with Hellraiser. Could be like a little bit too high of a curve, but we're brewing. We're in the sauce for now. Okay, I guess we just want to hit a bolt here. I mean, we're going to hit the bolt though. This is what's nice about Hellraiser, like reanimating Hellraiser 2 with like no yard. You like always get what you want. Did Daybreak inherit once he's philosophy random? Maybe, but it's like maybe, but it's like at least as far as it goes to like handling set releases, Wizards was really good at it. I think on Magic Online, it was like very consistent and very smooth for the most part. Gruul Hellraiser. Yeah, I've been messing around with a couple Gruul Hellraiser shells. Yeah, this is. I pulled up my drafts earlier. I wasn't playing Manamorphose. Manamorphose seems fine. So we're gonna make some Saga tokens here. Not much to cast with Hellraiser profitably. Yeah, so like this is kind of like there's two ends of the spectrum really, I think. Or there's maybe, you know, maybe it's like a triangle. Like in this deck, like is Hellraiser just being like 3 mana more 4 cast a bolt, heat, Manamorphose, Bauble, Commune, Fable. Like that's going to be good. It's going to be good, but is it good enough to like in general have like a really, really slow red-green beatdown deck is kind of the problem I've been having with this list. So when you build a deck like this, your clock is really slow. And you do have like a lot of solid interaction, but like I also found it hard to play Fury in this list, and I found it hard to play Blood Moon in the main with the green splash and the triple red card. You can do it, but those are like a couple of the issues I suppose that I've been finding. I'm gonna cast Fable here, I think. You should convince Wizards to unban Dig Through Time so we can get it alongside Hellraiser. Sure. I'll do that as soon as like I can convince Wizards to give me a preview card. Step 1, another preview card. Oh, right, I only have 1 mountain in the deck. Dang. Okay, so maybe instead of shocking here and dying, I can cast Discovery or I can cast Binding. Let's go for Binding. Yeah, we'll definitely be trying Tyvar, and like in both, we'll be trying Tyvar in Devoted Druid Elves and potentially Reanimator with Priestefo, right? It's potentially not. So that's kind of my issue with these Gruul builds, is like you would have to playtest them a little bit and like really like kind of determine if this is the case. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should have Binding this before they. I mean, they're gonna be able to Shrapnel. I'm dead to Shrapnel Blast no matter what. I was like, I already did the Shrapnel Blast, but I do want to Binding this before they get Galvanic Blast online. But like, I think this is a fine first draft. I think I might play one. I think I might play one Bloodbraid Elf, and I might also. I don't know. Maybe you could also just like not play Traverse. But like one thing is like Traverse like finds you more Hellraisers. Your whole deck's built for Hellraiser, but Traverse is like a card I haven't been that impressed with in general. It's tough. It's very tough. I will say like I also don't love playing Beseiju in a deck with your triple red Hellraiser and no Wrenn and 6. You could also play Wrenn and 6, of course, but like this list has been hard to build, and I'll be working on it too. And like it's hard for me to give like a ton of meaningful feedback, of course, since like I also don't have it figured out, you know what I mean? But these are kind of like some loose thoughts on, you know, on the journey, I guess. I don't think I'd play Haywire Might also. If you're not playing Saga, you have to play like, you know, Force of Vigor and, you know, cards like that for the most part. Let's cast Thrilling Discovery. Maybe find a Persist. Maybe we find a Bolt. Did find a Bolt. Well, I guess I'm dead to Den of the Bugbear if they have a land, because they get to also dart me. Wow, Rootwalla. That's so random. Hard to not be dead here. That's a card that doesn't kill me, though. I have to block the Rootwalla. About scamming Ephemerate Incarnations with the new Malaria card. I mean, I briefly mentioned doing that in my YouTube video. I think that it's like not the best version of that effect, but it is a version of that effect, and I will continue to think about it. Okay, so I think I don't know if how many wear tears I want. I probably want some number of wear tears. Is this deck one from Twitter? I mean, I tweeted it, but it wasn't born on Twitter, if you know what I'm saying. So let's get the Shadow Prophecy, since the life loss is kind of tough in the burn matchup. We can probably trim a Hellraiser for cutting all these Shadow Prophecies. Then I can trim, like, 2 Reunions. I think Discovery's a bit better. Seems fine. Could maybe trim a Transmogrify, too. Kind of like keeping 5 discard cards. I'm struggling to understand the appeal of Hellraiser. You have to work pretty hard for it to be significantly stronger, different than Goblin Dark Dwellers. Well, Goblin Dark Dwellers is a 5 mana card. If you work for Hellraiser, it's a 3 mana card, which is just already by itself like. I don't know. Like, I don't know why people are getting so stuck on like what, like, this is a really common comment. Like, they're like, I don't understand why people want Hellraiser, or why Spike is so into Hellraiser. Like, here's what I've done with Hellraiser so far. For 3 mana, I've cast 4/4 Dragon Lightning Bolt, 4/4 Dragon Leyline Binding, 4/4 Dragon Fable, bricked one time with Thrilling Discovery. I think I got another Fable. I persisted in Archon. All on a 3 mana 4/4 flyer. And so, like, you know, time will tell, like, how, where, if anywhere, like, this card falls into the modern metagame. Time will tell if there is a good home for it at all. Time will tell what kind of enablers you need for this card. But to not even to say you don't understand why I'm interested, I'm getting like a little stunned, because it's like these are all like really powerful things to be doing, you know. You know, and time will tell, but like to not see at least why I'm interested is, I'm getting a little stunned, I guess. It's not just you saying it; it's like over and over and over again, the sentiment. Can you pay X if hit creativity? I don't think you can. Yeah, Transmogrify over creativity because it's better with Hellraiser. Although you might just be able to play creativity instead. I'm just kind of like maxing out the enablers here. Yeah, I agree. It's mostly a matter if the building requirements are worth it. I agree. And I think, in my mind, like, that point is just, like, to be determined. To be determined. Okay, discards a Ragavan here. Then bolts me. Yeah, let me cook. Yeah, but I think for the most part too, and like, I'm not perfect at this either, but like, I think as a Magic community, if we more so have the attitude of like a more passive attitude towards card evaluation, an attitude of just like wanting to take your time, and play with the card a little bit before passing summary judgments, we all might be a little bit better at this game. I don't think I want to cast my binding here, although casting it if not here is going to be kind of tricky. But I kind of think I want to get Triumph so my lockdown's playable. Although here, yeah, obviously if they just tap out, we can go for Transmogrify. And maybe we get Orvard. Although maybe we just hit a Hellraiser instead. No, we hit an Archon. No Orvar. No Orvar. Okay, awesome. Oh, I didn't mean to slide out 2 Hellraisers. I only meant to trim 1. Although, honestly, like, on the draw, Fable is really bad. I might just be getting all of them back in. Could play, like, 1 Fable. I'll just play second White Terror. Well, 42 Esther, thank you. Glad you liked the stream. It's been a long time. You judge Sarah Paragon as bad right away. I mean, I was right about that. It's also like, okay, at least in the context of Hellraiser, like Hellraiser is like one of the hardest to evaluate cards I've ever seen. It is really just like there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of potential. Like, you know, if you always meet the card's requirements, it's like one of the best cards in Modern. If it's just always 3 mana, it is one of the best cards in Modern, in my opinion. It's not always 3 mana. You have to have like you have pretty significant deck building restrictions alongside it. Of course, Modern is full of decks that like have cards with harsh deck building restrictions that are staples. Urza Saga, Murktide Regent are kind of like the 2 main ones that come to mind. But it is just going to take some time to, like, you know, hammer it out. Huh. I mean, sure. So I go land, and they tick up, then I can persist before the Saga can get them graveyard hate, so that's kind of nice. I'm just gonna play this. Yeah, it's always so funny when people like talk about how Wizards pays me to promote cards. Dude, Wizards literally doesn't give me preview cards. Wizards literally doesn't give streamers. There's no early access event for Magic Online. There's no communication for like Magic Online cards coming out. So I mean, it's again, it's not like I've never talked to anybody at Wizards, but it's just so funny to think that I've got them paying me to play cards. Brinks, thank you for the 6 months. Hope you're doing well. Awesome. Channel Fireball plays me to play cards. Y'all pay me to play cards. No, NordVPN 2. Alright, so if their last card is Galvanic Blast, okay, they're definitely just gonna sack this, right? They would have attacked with the other Bomat if their last card was Galvanic Blast. Am I wrong about that? What? What you? Oh, that's crazy. I think, did I just get leveled? I think I just got like super leveled. But like, how do they not attack with this with the blast? I mean, I think I really just got leveled there. That's awesome. What's cool here is because I persist Archon on the yard is even if I Transmogrify and oh, they have a Lava Dart though. That's bad. What do I need 3 mana for? I need white mana for Blossoming Calm. So I was hoping they drew Shrapnel Blast, and I'll get to Blossoming Calm that here. My opponent tapped a red mana in response. I don't know why, like what they could have that they wouldn't want to respond here with. But that Lava Dart I think is gonna get me. Maybe they'll forget about it. They almost blood token? Yeah, I think you're right. Oh, another Lava Dart in the hand. Okay. GG's, good beats. Play for 3-2.